Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Gossip Girl, Season 1, Episode 13, A Thin Line Between Chuck and Nate. That was a good one. If you're out there watching.
I think there might be two meanings.
Unfortunately, there was no cocaine aspect of this episode.
Otherwise, the line on the pregnancy test.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this was a good one.
Yeah. I like this one. This is like the last time there. Well, it's not the last time there's a secret, but this is like the big secret that we've had for like 5 episodes now, and it's finally out. Everybody knows.
Yeah. So basically, Blair is late, and Serena, she's in denial about it. So Serena stupidly goes to the drugstore to buy 130 pregnancy tests.
So many.
And the girl was being so conspicuous, taking pictures. Like she practically was like, Serena, give us from the backside. Like,
first of all, every box of pregnancy tests has at least 2 in it. So she had like 40 pregnancy tests by the time she was done. And also, isn't that the entire point of Dorota? What the fuck?
I also, part of me does just sort of love that Serena can't be fucked. Like, she just doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's sort of like, oh, well, it's part of my charm.
Well, and it's also funny to me that, like, at no point in this episode does Lily find out that Serena was buying pregnancy tests. Rufus finds out. But Lily is, like, not to be found in this episode.
Because they come in, Jenny's so funny because she sees it on Gossip Girl and just screams Dan at the top of her lungs.
Yeah.
And then they come in and kind of grossly, like,
they bodily pick her
overpower her. And it's like, I understand that she's a child and he's her father, but also it's like, I don't know, don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Yeah.
And she says that. But
and also, I would love to know where this strength was when Dan was trying to carry that Christmas tree across town.
So we get the, like, concerned father talk, and it was fine. Although I do agree with Rufus that Dan and Serena move. Well, especially Dan was moving very fast with Serena, because that was his subplot with this whole episode, is that he told her he loved her and she didn't respond accordingly, and he assumed it was just because she thought he thought she was pregnant and trying to do the right thing.
But then when he actually does get it out for real, she's just like, okay, bye. But I will say, okay, because there was a very similar plot line on Gilmore Girls in season 1, and he handles it so much better. Dan handles it so much better than Dean did on Gilmore Girls. Dean is the worst.
I've not seen Gilmore Girls, and I know that.
Dean is bad.
But, and I think that it ends up actually being a charming plot point for Dan and Serena, because it's just that because of the high society and their mother and all that the Vanderwoodson kids are a little head shy when it comes to.
Oh, yeah. And I love the conversation that she has with Eric, where she's just like, I don't get it. Like, and he's like, well, every time that mom brought some guy home and he said, I love you, they got married and then divorced within like a year. So it's like, it makes sense. I get it.
So we do have. So this is kind of the beginning of Jenny. Ooh. So Jenny has a dual descent into darkness. The first is character based. The second is actress based.
Yeah. I'm getting I like forgot how much, and I think we didn't know the depths of it when this show was airing, but like it's a very, very Lindsay Lohan on the set of Mean Girls thing, where it's like, I feel like Taylor Momsen was like, can I wear the hot stuff now?
Well, I'm going to go as far as to I disagree.
Not yet.
I disagree.
But it feels like that.
But the consensus, because I haven't really followed Taylor all that much, but I think this is sort of a case of she got locked into this show just a hair too young, or like a hair before she was really ready.
Yeah, so she was born in 1993, and if this started airing in 2007, She was 14.
Yeah. And so I think Taylor...
And everyone else was in their early 20s.
And we're also, because again, 2007, 2008, 2009, the media was, well, the media kind of always is, but it was especially gross at this point. So I did a lot of judging of Taylor Momsen that I'm going to attempt to not do this time. But the point is, we have what seems to be an actress at war with her character.
Yeah.
And we're really front loading this because it comes more later.
Well, I'm sure we'll get deeper into it for sure.
But it's what I wanted to get out at this point is I find Jenny's descent into darkness, her trip to the underworld, to be good and interesting, and I like that aspect of the character. I don't like it paired with them trying to marry Jenny with Taylor's sensibilities.
Sure.
Because we get to sort of a punk rock place that I don't think suits.
Yeah, I remember that. Because don't they, like, at one point, they do, like, a guerrilla fashion show within another fashion show? It goes to a weird place.
And so when we talk about Jenny, we'll be like, oh, this is Jenny's awful phase. That means two different things. It could
mean, multiple things.
But I do find the trials and tribulations of Jenny at this point interesting. Mm-hmm. She's still on the outs with Blair, and although it was clumsy, because when Blair was like, move down, I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, okay.
They still haven't made up from like the masquerade ball completely, except for at the debutante ball, Jenny fixed her dress and she was like, all's forgiven. And it's like, you can't say all's forgiven and then not forgive anything. You know what I mean?
Well, which is also interesting because Blair, as you know, ironclad as her grip on power is, she still has things to learn as well.
Yeah.
And so we got last episode, I think we got Penelope and Hazel.
Yeah. It's Dreama Walker and what is her name? Amanda Setton.
Penelope's great.
Yeah.
She's terrible. She's terrible, but she's great. And they do sort of come in and take over, but
Katya and Iz stick around for a little while.
Yeah, I remember them more. So for me, I was sort of like, oh, finally, here they are. Not, who the hell are these girls?
Yeah.
But they sort of get fed up with Blair and kick her out. And Blair attempts to be like, Jenny, though I may never forgive you.
If you walk away now, I'll ruin you. And Blair Jenny sort of is just like, how?
Wrong.
It was the wrong thing to say, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. But it was one of those.
What do you think, that Blair is going to just be on the bottom from now on? Absolutely not.
People stay underestimating her.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, but I think because we get it in this show, she was ready to retreat, especially after, well, Nate and Chuck both let her have it.
Yeah.
But Chuck is far more damaging.
It's because she gives a shit what Chuck thinks about her in a way that she doesn't really care about Nate, except for the image that he helps her project. And I think it's a lot meaner what Chuck says to her. It's like
disgusting.
It's almost unforgivable. But she forgives him eventually.
Well, the 2007 of it all is what does the bulk of the forgiveness.
He basically is like, you're used tainted up now, and no thanks.
Oh no, he quite literally was like, you're like a horse.
Well, he says, you're like the Arabians my dad owns, and we both were like, and then we were like, oh, horses.
So, yeah, and she was going to give in, which is kind of shocking when you think about it, especially where Blair goes. But, you know, I've said this a time or two during our coverage, and I probably will continue, but I think there's a expectation, or I think people think they know what Gossip Girl's about. And ultimately, what it actually is about, like, ultimately, Blair and Serena are friends. That, yes, they have their on and off, and they're on their outs and stuff.
Yeah.
But because it's Serena that convinces Blair to stay, and it's just sort of, you see how as much as they can be bad for each other, they can also bring out the best in each other.
Well, because I don't think Chuck was the breaking point for Blair wanting to leave. I think it's only that his confrontation happened last. I think the real breaking point is that after the Chuck thing, she realized she didn't even have Serena because she was being too, like, standoffish and prickly to Serena. And Serena was like, fine, you can weather this storm all by yourself then. And I think she thought when she she didn't have either of the guys. Neither of them would like let her have a second chance. And then she like remembered that Serena was also gone. She was like, oh, well, now I'm leaving.
It's ultimately actually way more interesting than I think it appears on the surface.
Yeah. And we're going to get hard into that at the end of this season because it's some of our favorite stuff.
So we then swoop over to Brooklyn where Rufus is batting them off with sticks.
Two of the hottest brown-haired women you've ever seen in your life.
Bex and
Bryn.
Bex and Bryn.
They're just like, I mean, he owns a gallery. He's relatively good looking.
He's hot. I forgot how savvy Bex was. Yeah. I didn't really remember her.
I remember not liking her, and I think it's just because she has that like late 90s, early 2000s, like I'm an independent woman thing.
She really does.
So I'm sort of like about her, it's just like all of season 1 is literal, and most of season 2 is literally just like spinning our wheels until Lily and Rufus get together. And so I'm just sort of like, really? Are we doing this?
But I like it. It explains, it informs Rufus and subsequently Dan.
Yeah.
And I thought it was sort of interesting and kind of nice to see a man be like, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to be like, instead of, because he could have very, very easily let his pride take the wheel.
Oh, for sure. Rufus doesn't have any of that.
Dan's the only one with pride.
Dan has all of Rufus's misplaced pride.
Okay. So yeah, he just sort of is like, I was kind of famous and
I wouldn't call what I was doing back then dating. And Bex is sort of like, what were you doing? And I just am like, he was banging women. That's it.
Yeah. He
was just banging it out. And then he was married for 20 years, so it's sort of, I get it.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I liked it. Yeah, Chuck told Gossip Girl about Blair. Oof, it was rough. Yeah. And then him and Nate fought. Yeah. Is there really much more that needs
There's not too much more. Eleanor brought up Blair's eating disorder again.
Yeah.
It was mostly in service of us thinking that Blair might actually be pregnant.
Yeah.
Because she heard her throwing up the other night, but it's sort of...
Considering that we're tepid on the eating disorder plot, it was nice feels like a weird word, but I think
it was handled decently in this. Yeah. Like Eleanor handled it decently in this episode, and she just was like, I'm very concerned about what's going on.
Well, I like that she it's the same with Lily, that Eleanor and Lily to a very large extent do as much as they talk about how they underestimate Blair, which they do. She does trust her. So she sort of, should I be worried about you?
Yeah.
Because it's like she heard the water thing and gave her the benefit of the doubt. And then, I mean, she brought it up later.
Yeah.
But it's like, had she just flown into hysterics?
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's like you could be compounding.
Which is also why I'm so glad Lily didn't find out about Serena buying pregnancy tests in this episode. Because it's like, I feel like Lily and Eleanor can't both be on an even keel at the same time. You know what I mean? I feel like one of them needs to be blowing something out of proportion.
So yeah, and then Jenny is still that. I guess that plot hasn't culminated yet. It's still in play.
No, but like Penelope is priming her to take the like queen bee spot.
She's too young.
Way too young. And you're right. Who's that Elsie girl or whatever who's just like...
There was like Elise. A 9-year-old girl that was just...
Like, I'm going to the library anyway, Jenny. I'll take your books.
I think we'll pick that back up.
Yeah. It's in like literally the next episode, I think. Okay. Yeah.
So I think that's good. We opened up with a song from Nadia O. Got Your Number. I love she did that Hot Like Wow song from...
Yeah.
So You Think You Can Dance?
Yeah, that was a good one.
With Capono before he was dancing with Kayla.
Yeah,
it was the other girl.
That's right.
It was like Courtney or something.
I don't remember.
But
yeah. And we ended with Nicole Scherzinger.
Happily Never After. How did that solo career never take off?
Hey, she voiced someone in Moana. She's doing fine.
The Masked Singer pays.
Yeah.
Pays checks. So, okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that, and we will be back later.
Bye.
XOXO.
You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.